But being closeted is just, I don't think that people understand how taxing it is on them. They're constantly preoccupied with what people will say about them or what connections they might lose or whatever, that they're not even taking into consideration how emotionally and psychologically taxing it is to be inside of the closet. It is doing a number on you, I guarantee. If you're somebody who's closeted, you know what I'm saying? You might not think that it is like shortening your life, but I would wager that it probably is. For people who are in the closet, keep in mind that the goal is to not be in the closet, right? I feel like there's a lot of people who are content to be in the closet. The goal is not necessarily to stay in there. The goal is to find a way to be safe outside of the closet. So that's why to me, it feels like smuggling that artists would have to kind of hide their way into, or smuggle their own way into, smuggle themselves into the music industry under heteronormativity, under cishetness, in order to have any kind of a career. That bothers me. You know what I'm saying? So when people are out here saying that they are in full support of Isaiah Rashad, I'm kind of like, but let that same exact dude who is equally as talented, equally as proficient in his craft, be gay from the onset, or be bisexual from the onset. Would they be saying the exact same things? Is it in the right spot? Oh, right there, probably. Right here, probably. I think is good. All right. Let's see if I can get this here. Now the mic's like in the way. It's like in the trajectory. That was chaotic, but it's in there. There's no drops, y'all. I know that it sounded and looked weird, but I promise you there's nothing on this table. Everything about this moment is a little bit chaotic, just to be honest with y'all. All right. Chin just a little bit closer. All right. And just for good measure, hold on one second. Boom. Boom. Cool. Everything went smoothly, y'all. Everything's in there. The shot wasn't crazy. You know what I'm saying? We're getting better at this. Slowly but surely. What's good, y'all? My name is Morgan Clement. I'm an artist and designer based in Los Angeles, California, and I have a clothing line called Matin and Morgan, and this is Good Morning Morgan. And today's coffee is Portrait. I'm back to drinking my fave here. Portrait's Tony Roast. So if you were wondering what I was drinking today, maybe you didn't care at all. But if you're going to continue watching this show podcast thing, you're going to have to get used to me just being obnoxious about coffee. So that's what I'm drinking today. Let's see. Today I wanted to discuss Isaiah Rashad. And everything surrounding so it's Coachella weekend, or it's the first weekend has ended here in California. And the second weekend, probably by the time you see this, will have started. So Isaiah Rashad is performing at Coachella, and earlier this year there was a little bit of controversy, around him. So first and foremost, Isaiah Rashad is a rapper. He's 30 years old. He's out of Tennessee. And I first came into contact with his work probably in I know I was in college for sure. I don't know, maybe 2013, 14-ish. And he reminds me of, he's one of those rappers that I think of when I think of non-mainstream rappers. I know that he's performing at Coachella now, which means, you know what I'm saying, he didn't made it. But back when I was listening to him, and Mick Jenkins and Marcellus Jovan. He reminds me of a group of, or a class of rappers who I would argue are technically proficient, you know what I'm saying, but don't necessarily get mainstream play because I don't know. I think that the music industry has decided what they want and are kind of not engaging with anybody else. And so I think that when it comes to rap, they're really only interested in trap music at this point, especially from male rappers. They're really only interested in trap. Southern rap is taking over. It just has at this point. And so if you're not part of a very specific aesthetic within rap music, you don't really get that much play. And so I'm happy that Isaiah Rashad made it to where he is, but I think that he's representative of a group of rappers that don't necessarily get to be in that position all that often, just because the record or the music industry has decided what they want out of the rap genre and kind of has discarded everything else. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the same thing that's kind of happening with R&B music. Is that I don't know, the music industry has a weird love-hate relationship when it comes to R&B, because to me it seems like they don't at this point they don't really support R&B as a genre, and I would argue actively suppress R&B artists in their careers. And yet, by some, like, I believe at this point it's just sheer force of will. The R&B is still as profitable of a genre as it is. I think that Black people in particular, you know what I'm saying, their refusal, our refusal to let go of R&B as a genre, and our willingness to go out of our way to support R&B artists in spite of the music industry is the only reason why R&B is like still here with us. And I believe that that's true of different aspects of rap as well. Like people who are not trap rappers, I believe that through sheer force of will, that's how they end up at like a Coachella. You know what I'm saying? Because it feels like only certain rappers are getting any kind of I don't know, support or play or airtime or whatever, you know? So I didn't know, I don't pay attention to Coachella. I'm the type of person where I don't like music festivals. I'm an introvert, and I dislike being in crowds, and I don't know, just like if I'm not right up on if I'm not right up on the stage, I don't see really any point being there. But then also with all of the craziness that happened last year with like Astro World Fest, now it's like I don't want to be anywhere near festivals at all. So Coachella, even though I live here in California and technically it's like not Palm Springs, but it's near Palm Springs where they have Coachella. I don't remember the actual specific city, but like no, I'm not heading out there to go see anybody. Certainly not paying them prices to go see anybody at Coachella. So I didn't know that he was playing Coachella. So this is, to my knowledge, his first public like performance since this incident happened. So in February, let me go over. So in February, all over Twitter, and I'm assuming other places as well, a sex tape leaked of Isaiah Rashad engaging in sexual acts with multiple men. And so, of course, the initial response, I would assume, I don't follow homophobes, so I have to assume that there were homophobes out there saying something. But overwhelmingly, the response that I saw was good, like supportive, like, you know, we don't care about, you know what I'm saying? We don't care about this. We love you as an artist. We still bumping your music. I'm sure that he probably had like a spike in his streams that week. So overwhelmingly what I saw after that incident was support. And so, but he kind of like didn't say anything and he kind of just disappeared for a while. And so I think that we all were kind of concerned. I know I was concerned. It's coming out is one of those things that you don't want that to happen against your will or outside of your control. That's something that you want to have control over, to plan out, you know what I'm saying, to have control over who knows and who knows what, you know what I'm saying, those kinds of things. It's not something that you want to be forced to do. And so I think a lot of us were concerned mostly for like his mental health, people who are in the closet, which maybe, I mean, I don't know his personal life. Maybe he wasn't even in the closet to like his personal, like his close friends and family. I don't know. It seems like he might have been, but I don't want to assume that. So I think that we were all concerned for his mental health and how he was doing in response to something so big and such a huge betrayal on the part of the people that he was very clearly had like trust in. So kind of disappeared, and then he comes back, and he begins his set with a video montage. Now I'm only seeing this, Coachella is kind of being kind of like petty right now. They have copyright over the footage that comes from their festival, and they've decided that they're going to go on a rampage and pull down all of the video footage that people are posting from their festival, which I think is hilarious because the only reason why Coachella is even streaming their music festival, is because Beyonce a couple of years ago stipulated that they do so that people could see her perform. And I guess it's kind of like one of those things where once you get into it, you can't really back out of it. Like, you can't just stop streaming Coachella because Beyonce's not there anymore. Even though it seems like that's kind of what they want. They want to have control over where it is broadcast. But like, once you start putting things up on YouTube, I mean, once you start releasing video of stuff, it's just kind of like out of your hands at this point. We just kind of live in that day and age. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, I'm not saying that they're not making a lot of money off of the streams that they're getting on YouTube, because I'm sure that they probably are, and they probably have a lot of like paid partnerships and things like that. But like, the like quarter of a cent that you're missing because somebody posted Isaiah Rashad's intro on Twitter is just like, you're being petty now. Come on now. Is that not promo for your music festival? Like, come on. But yeah, so he, from what I saw, which is, they're tearing down the videos as we speak, but from what I saw, he put together a video montage of all of the like internet bloggers, podcasters, you know, those type of folks that were discussing this after the incident. He put together a montage of, I guess, like him, I don't know if it's like different video shoots that he was doing, or, you know what I'm saying, and then just had that like as B-roll over all of these conversations. And so that was his intro to his set. I don't think that he actually like said anything to address the actual issue. I think that was him addressing it. And then he just went on to perform his set. I don't think that, and I wasn't there, so I don't know. But I don't think that he actually said like, I'm gay or I'm bisexual or, you know, this is who I am, that kind of thing. He just played that montage of what people were saying. There is somebody who quoted him saying that he mentioned while he was on stage, he said, I see all the messages and all the positivity. Y'all kept me alive these last couple months. So, I think overwhelmingly we had that's the other thing, is that I live in a kind of like an internet bubble. I don't put up with homophobia or biphobia or transphobia, those kinds of things. So I block people. So overwhelmingly, my timeline was in support of him. I don't know if there's people out there who have negative things to say about Isaiah Rashad. I don't know why you would, but I didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? One tweet that I actually wanted to point out said, the first time Isaiah Rashad spoke on the controversy surrounding his sexuality is on one of the biggest platforms in the world. He gave a montage of all the blogs that reported on it. That's a whole power move. And I'm glad that he made it to the point where he could, cause I think we all were concerned, like what his mindset was after this happened. It's not easy, you know what I'm saying, for black men to be open about, if you're not a heterosexual black man, it's not easy, as a black man to be open about your sexuality, especially if you, like, I think that for like femme black men, it's just kind of like there's no other way that you can move throughout the world without addressing it, kind of a thing. But for men who aren't as visibly outside of the status quo, I guess maybe is how I would say that. I don't know. I think that it takes a lot for them to come to terms with and to eventually just kind of like acknowledge those things publicly. One thing that I will say that I've been thinking about in this whole situation that's kind of been a question in the back of my mind is that before somebody comes out, because this is just kind of like an issue that I have, before somebody comes out, there's all kinds of people saying all kinds of negative things about gay men, bisexual men, those kinds of things. Like, a lot of homophobia and a lot of biphobia comes out on a day-to-day basis unprovoked. And so it's weird to me, like, I don't want to say that I'm suspicious of all of the bloggers and the podcasters that were in full support of Isaiah Rashad coming out, or I guess it wasn't even him coming out technically. But it just is interesting to me that these same individuals don't necessarily create a safe space for people to be gay or bisexual on a day-to-day basis. But like after the toothpaste is out of the tube, or, after you've already gone through this process, now all of a sudden they're heaping on praise. It just feels so superficial to me. I recognize that we live in a weird time period where it's technically taboo to say like homophobic, transphobic, biphobic things publicly on a public platform. But that doesn't mean that the sentiment isn't still there. And so I don't know. That's just the only aside that I kind of have with this whole situation, is that the same people who were like, I don't give hey man, you know what I'm saying? What do I care that he's doing what he's doing in the bedroom? They ain't got nothing to do with me. I still bump his music. I still like Isaiah Rashad, those kinds of things. I don't know. I just have a lot of questions around it, because it's like these same people are not necessarily creating safe spaces for Black men specifically to be open about their sexuality in that way. So doing so after the fact just feels. And the other thing that I question in this situation is like, like I said, he's a little bit more of a heteronormative kind of straight presenting man. I won't say straight presenting, a little bit more of like a masculine, like traditional presenting guy. You know what I'm saying? And a part of me wonders how much of that support would be levied to somebody who is a little bit more feminine presenting. If somebody, and I guess we wouldn't technically be in the same position for somebody who's a little bit more femme presenting necessarily, but I just wonder, you know what I'm saying? It's just questions that I have, I guess. So yeah. But I really like the approach here. Now that we know that he's in a decent place, I don't know that he's worked all the way through it, his feelings around the matter. But now that we know that he's in a good enough place to perform, at least to address it a little bit, I think that this is a great way of approaching it. I wonder if he ever would have come out, you know what I'm saying, if this tape had never leaked. But I think that in terms of damage control, and in terms of, like, I'd have to imagine that he was going through a lot of different emotions as that was all happening. But from the outside looking in, as somebody who's a spectator, what it says to me is he didn't, like, in him not outright saying anything in particular, but just kind of like playing that montage. I don't know. I agree that it's like a power move, because one, it leaves us to speculate on his sexuality, which I think maybe he didn't necessarily intend for that. Like, I don't know that he necessarily cares about that, but I think that that's a bit of a power move, just kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Do we know whether or not he's bisexual or if he's gay or whatever? We don't know. He's not said anything to my knowledge. And he didn't even really have a response to what the podcasters were saying. He really just kind of responded to all of the positive comments that he's evidently been receiving, that we've all seen. And I don't know. I think that that's just the appropriate response. He could have gone on a homophobic tirade, because we've seen that before, where he's like, you know what I'm saying, this is fake, or, you know what I'm saying, I'm not gay, or, I mean, he could have done a whole lot of different things. I mean, he caught on video. I didn't see the video personally. I just want to say that. But I'm saying? There's a lot of different things that could have come from this that would have been a negative response. And this is a good response slash like a neutral response, which I think is artfully done in my opinion. That tells me that he's like, I'm not going to have extensive conversations with y'all about this. You know what I'm saying? This is personal to me. I hope that this has made him feel just a little bit more, you know what I'm saying, free. Because that's all that I care about, really, at the end of the day, when it comes to people being closeted, is that I've been in the closet before. I haven't been in the closet for a while. But being closeted is just, I don't think that people understand how taxing it is on them. They're constantly preoccupied with what people will say about them or what connections they might lose or whatever, that they're not even taking into consideration how emotionally and psychologically taxing it is to be inside of the closet. It is doing a number on you, I guarantee. If you're somebody who's closeted, you know what I'm saying, you might not think that it is like shortening your life, but I would wager that it probably is. So I hope that at least he feels a little bit more free. You know what I'm saying? But that's the one thing, like, if I could say as like a motivating factor to because there are a lot of people who are content to sit in the closet for the rest of their lives, and I'm not saying that anybody needs to come out of the closet. I don't believe in forcing people out of the closet. This whole incident was inappropriate. This is not appropriate. You don't leak tapes of people doing anything to get them to come out of the closet. You don't show off people performing sex acts. You know what I'm saying? It's just inappropriate. But for those who are in the closet, just know that there's a lot of, I don't know, there's a feeling of freedom that you are depriving yourself of, not being able to move throughout the world as who you are and not giving a what other people think. You know what I'm saying? I know that there's all kinds of different things that go into being in the closet. Like, I understand reasons for being in the closet. For some people, it's a personal safety issue. You know what I'm saying? For some people, it's a housing issue. If I come out of the closet, I won't have a place to live. Or if I come out of the closet, somebody gonna be my... Listen, you know, those kinds of things. For the people who are in a position... Well, I'll back up. For people who are in the closet... Keep in mind that the goal is to not be in the closet, right? I feel like there's a lot of people who are content to be in the closet. The goal is not necessarily to stay in there. The goal is to find a way to be safe outside of the closet so that you don't have to stress yourself out every day. You know what I'm saying? On what people are thinking about you. Did you say the wrong thing? Did you move the wrong way? Did you wear the wrong clothes? You know what I'm saying? Did you talk about somebody too positively? Did you talk about somebody else too negative? Like, are you know what I'm saying? Like, the things that you have to think about on a day-to-day basis, just micro managing your own thoughts and actions just to maintain a facade is taxing. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that Isaiah Rashad feels a little bit more free in this instance. I don't know, man. Like, the other thing that I wanted to address too was that it's unfortunate, and this seems to be a trend that I'm starting to kind of notice. For me, hold on a second. To me, it's unfortunate that the only representation that black men who are not straight, are getting within the music industry, specifically within rap, is kind of through smuggling themselves in, you know what I'm saying? Lying about being straight, or maybe just not necessarily being at the place where you understand that about yourself yet, to get into the music industry, and only after being there coming out, you know what I'm saying? And then I think that that's the other part that I kind of hate about the podcaster comments about this, and the fake praise or the fake support or whatever, that I have an issue with is that y'all wouldn't be supporting if somebody came out as gay before they started their music career, before they started trying to get into the industry. I would question if they would even make it, to be perfectly honest. If you see how much harder like femme gay men have to work just to be recognized for their music, a great example of that is Duran Bernard. Oh my God, talented beyond all belief. He actually reminds me kind of, well, I guess we're going down the line. So he actually kind of reminds me a little bit of, not like stylistically, but like the trajectory thing of like Tevin Campbell. Like Tevin Campbell's career should have been, I mean, not to say that he's a nobody, obviously is a household name. And if you're a 90s baby, listen, Tevin Campbell was an integral part of your life because of the Goofy movie. But Duran Bernard is a great example of somebody I believe should be 10 times as big of an artist as he is. But the only reason that I can see for him not being anywhere near the level where he should be is because he's gay. It's the only reason. And he's not a masculine presenting, you know what I'm saying, stereotypical cis het presenting kind of you know what I'm saying, kind of dude. And so I kind of have an issue with that, with people pretending like they support men. And it's not even support, but it's kind of like saying, because that's not necessarily what they were saying. They were kind of saying like, what do I care what you do in the bedroom? But the music industry is not reflecting that attitude. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are saying this, but the industry is not reflecting that attitude. From what I can see, the trajectory of somebody's career almost flatlines immediately once it is acknowledged that they are gay or bisexual, right? So that's why to me, it feels like smuggling, that artists would have to kind of hide their way into, or smuggle themselves into the music industry under heteronormativity, under cishetness, in order to have any kind of a career. That bothers me. You know what I'm saying? So when people are out here saying that they are in full support of Isaiah Rashad, I'm kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So you're in support of Isaiah Rashad with the exact same skill level, with the exact same talent, because I believe that Isaiah Rashad, like I said, is representative of a group of rappers that largely gets overlooked, but is technically proficient, you know what I'm saying? Like skilled in the craft, but just because they don't fit a certain aesthetic, have to work a little bit harder to get there. He's one of those rappers, you know what I'm saying, I was listening to back in 2013, that they were talking about it in their music, like, yo, I'm like working my ass off to get put on because they're not, you know what I'm saying, the mainstream image of a rapper. But let that same exact dude, who is equally as talented, equally as proficient in his craft, be gay from the onset, or be bisexual from the onset. Would they be saying the exact same things? I don't know. I have a hard time believing that they would, is all that I'm saying. So that just kind of bothered me, just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of dudes, you know what I'm saying, that a lot of the people that were part of that montage spew a lot of hate, a lot of vitriol. They promote a lot of misinformation through their platforms, and then want to turn around in this instance and claim support for somebody after this act. I don't know. A part of me wonders if it has less to do with them actually having any kind of respect or regard for gay and bisexual artists, and more them seeing it as an attack on, like, again, I think that they have respect for Isaiah Rashad because he is a masculine man, right? And they see this as an attack on a masculine black man. And so maybe even that just gets more of an outpouring of love and support than a femme gay man would. I don't know. Not to say that Isaiah Rashad doesn't deserve it, because obviously he does. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do anything wrong. Isaiah Rashad did nothing wrong. So, you know what I'm saying? Of course he deserves support. And, I don't know. I would like to see what happens moving forward. It seems like, I don't think that it's necessary for him to, you know what I'm saying, become the face of black men, black gay or bisexual men in the rap game, obviously. But I don't know. I'd like to see. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't necessarily need to rap about this yet. I don't know. Maybe he will. He seems like he didn't necessarily want to like talk at length about it. So, but it could also be, since he, you know, I think that it was so artfully done, his response at the beginning, the montage at the beginning of his set, it could just be that he's like, how can I turn this into an art form? You know what I'm saying? How can I turn this into music? So maybe he'll address it on his next album. I don't know. But the other thing that I wanted to discuss was when this first came out, because I planned on discussing this when it first happened, but I wasn't finished with like my set and stuff. I hadn't started filming anything yet. So I took a screenshot of a tweet that I thought was interesting that was kind of circulating around the same time that this was happening in response to the leaked videos. And I was like, I'll come back to it. And then it got like too far gone, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like no longer part of like current events at all because so many months had passed. And so I was like, maybe I'll talk about it at some point, but you know what I'm saying? I don't know that I'm gonna necessarily dig up things from February of 2022, you know what I'm saying? And then Isaiah Rashad performed at Coachella. So now it's relevant again. But there was a tweet that came out. There was a tweet that somebody put out in February around this exact same time. It's on February 9th. And they said, we need to abolish coming out. This idea was nice, I think, a few years ago because there was a lot of stigma behind it. But now I can't imagine coming out to anyone. Like, if you ain't know, then IDK, now you do. Like the thought of sitting down to someone who's probably straight and explaining to them wanting quote unquote acceptance, like I could actually throw up right now. And that was interesting to me. You know what I'm saying? Coming out is such an integral part of the gay experience at this point that it had never occurred to me. I'm sure it never occurred to a lot of people that you would just not and just live your life. Under the I mean, it's a reality that people are not owed any information about you, really. You know what I'm saying? Especially not strangers. You don't have to tell people anything. You ain't got to tell people, listen. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was an interesting take. And so it actually reminded me of a few years ago. I was reading this gender studies book because I thought I was doing something. I never finished the book, so don't ask me about it. If you have read the book, please don't. But it's called The Epistemology of the Closet. And I don't even think I made it past maybe the first chapter or something like that. It was dense. You know what I'm saying? It was dense. Like all of the academia language that you see people throwing around on Twitter all willy-nilly and all that kind of stuff. That's what it was. You know what I'm saying? PhD level, because technically that's what it was for. It's for like a gender studies course in college, but I got it from Half Price Books. And in the beginning of it, it was talking about this notion of coming out of the closet and how it is this perpetual state of being for people that are a part of the LGBTQ community. Like, with every single person that you meet, with every single person that you interact with, especially if you're not somebody who's like, if you're not like a really femme presenting man, or if you're not like a super masculine presenting woman, oftentimes people will just assume that you are straight. And so this book I think it was just a foreword. I don't think I made it that far at all in this book. It was dense, y'all. But they were essentially saying that like that is a perpetual state of being for gay people, is that you're just constantly coming out of the closet. You get new coworkers, you got to come out of the closet. You get new friends, you got to come out of the closet. You go to, I don't know, the bookstore and somebody hits on you, you got to come out of the closet. Like, it's just constantly coming out of the closet because of this presumed, presumption that people are making that you're straight. You know what I'm saying? That is just the default way of being. And thus, if you are not that, you have to take time out to explain to people that you are not that. And that's just become like a socially normalized way of being or way of doing things. I don't necessarily see anything wrong with coming out of the closet if that's something that you want to do. But I do believe that there needs to be an alternative for people who are maybe not, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they don't necessarily feel shame around their sexuality or their gender expression, but that they just don't want to constantly have these conversations over and over again. They just want to be, which I think is a valid argument. You know what I'm saying? I think that, I don't know, the way that people interact with each other nowadays, hold on. The way that people interact with each other nowadays, I don't know. It's like, not only I don't know. Like, actually, hold on one second. So there's as we speak, as I'm talking, I'm not filming this on Friday when it's going to be released, but currently, as I'm talking, there is a feud going on Twitter because a video came out of women being asked the question, would you rather date a bisexual man or be cheated on? And there's a lot of women who are like, I would rather be cheated on than date a bisexual man. It has it spiraled into this conversation about homophobia and biphobia and those kinds of things. And of course, the topic of disclosure is part of that conversation, right? Do you disclose to somebody that you're dating that if you are bisexual, that you are bisexual? I'm of the camp that you don't need to do that. You know what I'm saying? I've not been in a relationship where in a relationship where I was asked to discuss at length the previous people that I've dated. That's never happened to me. In fact, anytime that I ever brought up an ex to someone that I've dated, they've actually gotten really upset. Let's stop talking about that. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. It's interesting to me. Like, I don't know that maybe it's different for the straights, but it seems to me that you wouldn't even be having a conversation about who you've dated before, let alone whether or not that was a man or a woman. And yet, straight women are up in arms like, I do not want to date a bisexual man. And I think that feeds into this conversation of is it necessary to come out? Now, I don't believe that you should mislead people, obviously. Like, let's not go down that road, because that's obviously where a lot of people are taking it, of like, you know what I'm saying, y'all DL, y'all trying to trick people. Like, that everybody who is homophobic, transphobic, biphobic, all of it, queerphobic, all of it, those people, that's all that they think that the LGBTQ community is doing, trying to trick somebody into doing something. Ain't nobody tricking nobody into doing something. Nobody's tricking anybody into doing anything. These people are consenting. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? They're feigning ignorance after the fact, y'all. Like, what is wrong with y'all? But I think that is an interesting. So in theory, what they're posing as this notion of abolishing coming out is saying, like, I would like to live in a world where people don't presume that every single person that they come into contact with is straight. Which I think is I think that's a valid vision for the world. You know what I'm saying? In the same way, I think that it mirrors a lot of different arguments that we're having all at the same time. I think that the solution is the same, but it's coming up in a whole bunch of different arguments. The same thing with this pronoun situation. stop assuming that you know people's pronouns when you run into them on the street. You know what I'm saying? I go by she, her pronouns. I also don't mind they, them pronouns. I have been mistaken for a dude because I've got a very deep voice. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm talking at nighttime, a few times in some drive-thrus, I've been mistaken for a dude. I don't particularly care. I'm a little bit genderqueer myself. But I remember I went to Target and I was looking at the cheeses. Put some emphasis on the cheese. I was looking for cheese for I don't even know what. This cheese is delicious. And there was an employee that worked for Target there. They were, I guess, restocking the cheese section. And they were asking me, do you need any help with, like, what kind of a cheese are you looking for? And I said, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm just looking. And then they were like, oh, I just wanted to ask because I didn't know if they were looking for a specific cheese. And they referred to me as a they. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh. In that moment, I was like, oh, okay. I see how that could be, you know what I'm saying, validating for somebody who doesn't fit into the gender binary. You know what I'm saying? As somebody who doesn't squarely fit into the gender binary, I was like, all right, I see it. And how easy that could be. You know what I'm saying? I was looking for cheese, y'all. It was not misgendered. So yeah, I think that's the sentiment that's coming up in a lot of different sectors of society right now. It's just don't presume who I am based on what I look like. And I feel like that shouldn't be such a hard thing for Black people in particular to understand, because people are always making all kinds of assumptions based on our physical appearance, right? Based on the melanin content of our skin, making all kinds of assumptions. You know what I'm saying? If you are a Black person that's ever been in a store and had somebody walk up to you and ask you about something about the store, like you work there, and that's the mild end of it. You know what I'm saying? Of course you understand the notion of somebody presuming who you are based on your physical appearance. I think that this is the sentiment that keeps coming up in a lot of different arguments, is just stop assuming that people are straight. Stop assuming that somebody fits the gender that you think you see. You know what I'm saying? I think that it's not so much asking you to willfully ignore everything that you've been told all of your life, but more so just to ask, it's asking you to be a little bit more thoughtful and careful with how you interact with people. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that that's too much to ask. So yeah, I came out, but when I came out, there's only one person that I genuinely came out to. And that was my friend Bria in college. Like, she didn't know that I was gay. And so I told her because I think we were having a conversation about, she had like a crush on some dude or something. Like she was fanning over some guy. I don't know who it was. And I was like, I don't know if she was asking me my opinion or something like that, but I was like, I am gay, girl. Like that was, I believe she was the first person that I ever came out to. And then months later, I came out to my parents, but they were like, we already know, girl. So it was like barely coming out. I was driving back. It was my freshman year of college. We were driving back home with all of my stuff from my freshman year. And we were like weaving through the Appalachian mountains. And my father was like, do you think you might be gay? And this was not the first time that he had asked me that question either. And I just said, yeah. And then I was like, I think I asked him, like, how do you know? Or how did you know? And I think that he said, we, as in like both of my parents, have known for a few years now. You know what I'm saying? You don't talk about dudes at all. And they were right. Don't give a about no dudes. And then I think it was really dramatic, my coming out story with my mom. It didn't need to be, but it just was. We were in the mall. And I don't know what was happening. I think I was like in my head or something like that. I was a little bit removed. I think she asked me why I was removed or something like that. And we both started weeping. We sat down on a bench kind of off to the side in the mall. And I told her that I was gay. And she was like, I know. We know. We've been through this. So I didn't quite have as painful of a coming out story as most would, or most have. So yeah. And then I came out to like other people much later just to get them to stop. I don't know. I had some when I was younger. I had some internalized homophobia. And I hung out with people in high school who were also pretty homophobic, and so that kind of became like a toxic environment. Like, they're great people, like they're really great friends, and I really loved hanging out with them when I was in high school. But as I got older, I was like, I just can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't overlook the things that I've heard you say in the past about gay people. And so I just kind of like slowly stopped talking to them, and they didn't really get a good explanation as to why. And so they would keep reaching out to me periodically. And so I just told them like a couple years ago, actually, it wasn't too long ago. Hey, you know, I'm gay. The reason why I don't really like talking to y'all anymore is because I've heard y'all say some really messed up stuff about gay people. Y'all are mildly homophobic. Some of y'all are overtly homophobic. And so just for my own mental health and you know, those kinds of things, I just don't think that we should continue to be friends. And so that was like kind of a coming out piece as well. So, I mean, like, it serves its purpose, right? Like, coming out of the closet serves a purpose. Do I feel like as a person who is outside of heteronormativity, do you have to go through that process over and over and over and over again? No. No, I don't. And if you're a public figure, do I believe that you need to necessarily come out of the closet? No. But here's the thing. Is in not coming out of the closet, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should diminish or downplay who you are in order to hide it, because that's a different thing, right? What this is advocating for, and what I'm advocating for, is an instance where you live your life. You know what I'm saying? You love who you love, you date who you date, you have sex with who you have sex with. And if people find out, they find out. If they don't find out, they don't find out. But you're not hiding who you are. And you're also not constantly, you know what I'm saying, making announcements, putting out newsletters like, yo, I'm gay. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would like to live in a world where that doesn't necessarily have to happen all the time. You know what I'm saying? Where I don't, and other people don't have to constantly make announcements to people about what you got going on in your bedroom. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that I would like to see that in the future. I think that, like I said, it piggybacks off of a lot of different conversations that are happening right now. And I think that the core of all of those conversations is stop assuming who I am based on what you see in front of you, right? Take even the extra half a second to ask, you know what I'm saying? Or to investigate further beyond what you just see. Because I think that as I continue to make these shows, I'm going to continue to make references to how Western civilization and colonization stuff have lit us all up. But I think that this is a remnant of that. I have to imagine that that's where it came from, is this thing of like, people fit into these very neat boxes. And if you don't fit into these boxes, you're wrong. And I have to berate you until you force your way into one of these two boxes. It's like, that's not how, you know what I'm saying? There's all of this complexity and nuance and you know what I'm saying? There's all of these different emergent realities when it comes to humanity. You can't just fit it all into these two boxes. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that specifically for Isaiah Rashad, I don't think that he has to necessarily address this in his music. Like, he doesn't need to become one of the gay rappers necessarily. I would like for him to, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't particularly care for the smuggling piece, like I said. But now that he is where he is, I feel like he can serve, and this is tricky because not everybody who exists as part of a marginalized identity wants to be the poster child for said marginalized identity. Sometimes you just want to do what you do and go back home. You know what I'm saying? But if Isaiah Rashad were up to the task, I would love for him to be one of the more masculine presenting gay or bisexual rappers that are out there. I think that Black men, there's a lot of conversation around this whole DL, like people talking about DL culture. Lord, I just wanted to end. But I was watching a video that somebody posted. Hold on a second. Somebody posted a video earlier today of somebody discussing this because, like I said, there's like it's feud raging on Twitter right now about bisexuality and bisexual men. And so in this video that was circulating in addressing that very issue, this person was saying, they were saying that it's ironic that the same people that complain about DL culture or quote unquote being tricked by DL men are the same people who make it so unsafe for people to come out of the closet. And that is the true irony of all of this, is that the same people who are so afraid of being played by DL culture are the same people who are forcing people to stay in the closet because they feel unsafe. I won't say that there's no safe spaces, because there are safe spaces. But the community as a whole needs to become a safe space. You know what I'm saying? And then you won't have to deal with I ain't gonna side with nobody on the DL culture. I'm sorry. I don't side with the straights on DL culture. I'm sorry. I do believe that it is wrong for somebody to lie to their partner let me find a way to articulate this. It's wrong to cheat. And I think that that's true across the board. You know what I'm saying? If you have made a commitment to somebody to be in a monogamous relationship, it's wrong to cheat. It doesn't matter who you cheat with, it's wrong to cheat. You know what I'm saying? These women in this video that is circulating would rather be cheated on than date bisexual men. But the interesting thing there is like, are you afraid that the bisexual man is going to cheat with the man? Or they're concerned about that, but they're also kind of concerned about like a man having any kind of affinity for another man's body at all. We're not gonna go into that in this video. I might do another video about it, but I am kind of getting tired of doing Twitter topics, to be perfectly honest with you. I like this kind of stuff, and I like doing like show reviews, but it's like going through people's tweets is not my vibe. You can't harbor homophobia and biphobia and expect for people, like, there's only so many people who have the fortitude to come out in spite of that. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect that every single person, especially when it comes to bisexuality. I think that because bisexual people are attracted to men and women, I think that it's so much easier for them to just not overtly state what their sexuality is. But that's not the same thing as being down low. You know what I'm saying? That's not the same thing as being DL. Personally, I don't believe that anybody owes you a conversation beforehand about who they've slept with before they came into contact with you. I do believe it's wrong to cheat. So if they cheat on you, then that's a conversation that y'all need to have. If that person cheats on you with somebody of the same sex, I mean, you can try and work it into an issue where it's more of a betrayal than a regular, you know what I'm saying, regular infidelity. But I don't know. It's odd to be preoccupied with what somebody has done with anyone else before they came into contact with you. If they're attracted to you, that's all that matters. So I'll leave that there. But yeah, I think that you gotta create a safe space where people can openly and honestly express themselves without fear of ridicule. And particularly and that's why I'm saying, like, if Isaiah Rashad is up to the task, which he doesn't have to be, you know what I'm saying? Nobody has to be that. But I feel like it could be good for more, you know what I'm saying, heteronormative presenting, or, you know what I'm saying, more masculine presenting men to see somebody who is more similar to them being open and honest and I guess more assured in themselves, you know what I'm saying, while also being gay or bisexual, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know, maybe smuggling is the way, you know what I'm saying? I hate that that's the way, but maybe that is the only way to get people to stop. I mean, man, the toxicity is insane for that's why it seems so disingenuous to me, all of these people heaping praise onto Isaiah Rashad after this incident. I'm sure that there were some people who were genuine, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are not actually homophobes or biphobes that were like, yes, you know what I'm saying? But like, that's why it just seems so disingenuous to me, because how are you saying that you support this man and yet all of this is allowed to fester? You know what I'm saying? All of this homophobia and biphobia is allowed to fester within our community. There are a lot of black men who are terrified, you know what I'm saying, to actually live life as who they are. That's not out of nowhere. Isaiah Rashad was not terrified. Well, I won't say he's terrified. I'm not going to put that on him. But Isaiah Rashad was not hiding who he was for no reason. Especially like in the rap game. We know what the rap game is, y'all. Let's not act like, you know what I'm saying? I think that a lot of people like to try and act like the work is done with this. And it's not. It's not even anywhere near done. And I think this is evidence of it. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to see Isaiah Rashad, you know what I'm saying, address this in his work. I don't know that it's ever going to get to, like, in the way that he responded this time, I think is maybe the way that he's going to respond moving forward. I don't think that he's ever going to be like on the level of like a Lil Nas X, where he's like doing like music videos with other dudes, you know what I'm saying? Or like integrating that into his lyrical content, you know what I'm saying? But even if he just in his, you know what I'm saying, private life felt a little bit more open, I don't even want to put it on him that he necessarily wants to be romantically open, you know what I'm saying, with another man. I leave anything and everything that he wants to, you know what I'm saying, it's his life. But if it were even just a situation of him being a little bit more open about having romantic relationships with other men, and romantic specifically, because sexual people harp on that too much. I just feel like that would be so powerful. I don't know that that's necessarily what he wants to do. And I don't think that that's his responsibility. I don't think that's anybody's responsibility. But if he chooses to go that route, I think it could be powerful, is all I'm saying. So I think I'll leave it right there. Full support to Isaiah Rashad. He's very talented. And props to him. He's on the Coachella stage like what? You know what I'm saying? He worked really hard for that. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what he does in the future. Right? Like, just dope. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that this didn't crush him, because I feel like this is the kind of situation where I'm always terrified that this is the kind of thing that could crush somebody. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you could like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it. And I guess that's it. Until I see you next time, be good.